Hello, everybody. How you doing? Okay, we're live here today. It's the butt crack of dawn for me over here in LA, but it's 1:00 or a little after 1:00 in Glasgow. I'm sorry, in Inverness. I was thinking Glasgow because of the page I'm following to see this march because it's run by some people in Glasgow. Sorry, got confused. But anyways, so we're here to look at the Independence March going on today in Inverness, and a lot of people have gotten together. We got a few clips of, to show you guys of people gathering together. And then we're going to move to a live feed where the three of us will just talk as we watch. So it should be very interesting. So I want to go ahead and introduce my guests here today. Obviously, a lot of you know Sharon Sunshine. Say hi, Sharon. Hi. and also with us today is our good friend Pete here. And Pete, I'll go ahead and let him introduce himself. But obviously, he is a very very strong supporter of Scottish independence and that sort of thing. So I'll go ahead and let him tell you a little bit about himself.
Yeah, hi. It's nice to see you again, Sharon. Thanks very much for the invitation to come on, Richard.
Nice to see you, Pete.
Yes.
I'm actually based out here in Kuala Lumpur, so I really don't know what time it is. It's 10 o'clock at night, 26 Celsius, lovely. Just to make all you guys that are marching in Inverness and watching this in Scotland feel so much better. It's what, like 8 degrees, 9 degrees, Sharon?
It's roasting here. It's roasting. It's like really roasting. I need
taps off.
Taps off.
My background is I started basically like most Scots, I think, father and grandfather introducing you to the history that we didn't get taught in school. And as soon as I had the chance at 17, I joined the Scottish National Party as a member and have been since 77. So I'm giving my age away slightly now. So I'm more than
That's
21.
long before it came into prominence, by the way.
Very much so. Yeah. When thanks, Sharon. Yeah, very much so. Very much so, Richard. There was only about 15 members at the time.
Right.
So we were vanguard.
Yeah. 1 MP or something like that.
Yeah. So I've been active since then, very much on the independence cause, and I've had a career in the police force in the UK, a career in the police force in Hong Kong, and I'm now based in Kuala Lumpur doing all sorts of strange things that if I told you, then I'd probably have to shoot you. So I'll just keep it quiet, yeah. But my
how do you go about getting clearance, Pete? No, I'm just kidding. Anyway,
I'll PM you. But this is why the name Ming, right? Just to,
right.
I guess one of the things that we do, yeah. But I really got heavily involved in this about 2009, 2008, 2009, where we really started to see the movement kick off. And there was a real drive for independence, which resulted in obviously the SNP becoming the government of Scotland for the first time. Right. And then, of course, leading up to the 14 first independence referendum, where we were very active on social media. We were very active outside. So what I do here is I promote independence by involving myself in things like breakfast briefings with chambers of commerce, going and talking about independence to various government bodies throughout the region, whether it be Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, and others, to really explain to them, the reasons why we should be independent and why we need their support once we become independent, in the event that we get independence. Right. In the event when we get independence.
Right.
Yeah.
It does seem it just seems a question of a matter of time, but
Yeah. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to build in Asia Pacific the support and understanding of foreign governments and business organizations to be able to support us when we get that independence, that they'll come and work with the Scottish government, because we don't have Scottish representative offices in this region at the moment. So we sort of take that role on as far as Asia is concerned. So that's who I am. Married, 3 kids, 8 cats, and I'm missing Myron Brew terribly.
Don't worry.
I'll
There
tell
you
you
go.
what, with the way things are heating
I'm
up
so
right now.
sorry.
Oh, there you go. Iron Brew get you through.
Yeah, I brought one of each, just Okay.
But
thanks.
something I was curious, I figure I'll ask you, Pete, is obviously that this whole thing's heating up, obviously, and I'll just say it frankly. Pretty much everything I hear coming out of Westminster is just disingenuous beyond belief, really. And I say disingenuous because that's a word we like to use over on my other channel, where we tend to talk about criminal justice most of the time. But disingenuous. Just, you listen to what they say, and you can easily. With the limited amount of facts that I have picked up in my limited amount of time of researching this last couple of months, where I've been really digging into this, but even me at this early stage, I can pick out obvious factual errors in their statements. And Boris Johnson saying things like the vote about Brexit was decisive, or the vote about Scottish independence was decisive. Excuse me? When it 52 to 48 or 54 to 46, that's not what decisive means. Decisive would be more like 66%, to 34% or something like that. That would be more decisive, because then you have 2/3 of the people kind of voting one way. That would be decisive. So, there's just things that they say that you can immediately pick out. Just that they're not being honest, they're not being factual. They're just pushing a line, or pushing a narrative that they want to push. And those who are following me over on my other channel, I know all about people that push narratives that don't work. And we call it out daily. So, so that's kind of where we're at. So what I want to go ahead and show you guys right now is a couple of clips that show people gathering for the Inverness March here, getting together and kind of getting prepared for the march. So we're going to show you those couple clips, and then we're going to go ahead and move into some of the live coverage, and Pete and Sharon and I will just kind of chat while we're watching the live coverage. So, all right, here we go. Let's move on to the first clip. So this is over in Inverness. This was from about a half an hour ago, roughly, or so, maybe a little more than that. But it just shows everybody getting together there, getting gathered together, and got all their saltires there, and
line rampants as well. Yeah,
and line rampants. So it's everybody's just kind of milling about there, getting ready for it to all start.
It's a great day. It's dry, a little bit windy by the looks of it, which is great to get the flags flying, but it's dry, which is a real bonus at this time of the year, particularly in Inverness.
Yeah.
Wonder if Andy's got their washing with them. So we always want in Scotland, a good day where it's a good blowy day to get your washing dried when you hang it out.
I see Tartan over there. Is that person from Edinburgh?
Yeah. I know, we've got a wee funny thing going where we say it's Edinburgh's very tartany. It's like it's over tartany. Compared to Glasgow, you've not got the same. You've still got the same Scottish passion, and you've just not got the everything tartan.
Yeah, Edinburgh and Kuala Lumpur, tartan capitals of the world.
I love that. I love that word, Kuala Lumpur. I love that name.
Kuala Lumpur.
Did you see what? Did you see what Captain Crunch said? Jack and Victor rolled into 1 = Ming.
I've just seen it. Yeah.
I thought you might not have seen it. Oh, Erekose, I just had a thought. Why don't you make Linda a moderator? Just because I might not see it if I'm looking on chats, because she's not a mod on this channel. If she wants to be, that is, I'm not, It was just a wee thought. It just came into my head there.
There's actually a good comment there by Captain Crunch. So, like, dude, why are you all so naive? Don't you know that all politicians are liars?
Oh,
Yeah,
I never disagreed
he
with
always
Cap on
says
that.
yeah. I mean, not an issue with that, but the difference is that this movement is a grassroots movement,
Mhm.
and as such, the politicians have to do what we tell them. So
Yes.
whether they're liars or not, this movement is being driven by the people.
People.
It's a people's movement. It's not
Exactly.
a politicians-led movement. So they can lie about whatever they want, but at the end of the day, we will decide. And also to remember that in Scotland, the people
When.
are sovereign. People are sovereign, not the politicians, not the Queen.
Exactly.
We are sovereign. So we
Mhm.
actually make the decisions under Scottish law about what we want to
Yes.
do.
That's what I keep hearing, but it doesn't seem like Westminster sees it that way.
No.
No, of course they don't. It's empire. It's colonialism. It's the way that
Exactly.
they've run the empire for 300 years. They don't know anything else, Richard. And the empire has a particular strategy that has always followed. If you look at India, if you look at Malaysia, you look at all these countries that eventually got independence. Empire followed exactly the same strategy as they're now following with Scotland. The thing is that we know, because we look at history, we study history, and we know the mistakes that were made. We learn from it. So this is why we know what they're doing. And they can basically shout,
Mhm.
and they can scream, and they can lie, and they can come out with all the things that they're coming out with at the moment. And it makes absolutely no difference to what the end result will actually be. And they know what that result is. And it's posturing. That's all it is. They postured about India. They postured about Malaysia and Singapore. They postured about Australia and New Zealand and Canada and everywhere else. It's a posture. And we understand that. That's the game. So let them shout, because at the end of the day, we know what the result is going to be, and it's going to be independence. There's absolutely no doubt about that.
I mean, and I get it right now that Boris is looking for his big legacy to be getting Brexit done. And he doesn't really want it to be tainted with the Scotland leaving the United Kingdom. I get that desire, but that's a selfish desire. You have to respect democracy. I'm sorry, but democracy. I mean, that's what you got to respect. And I keep getting these people that are trying to argue with me that the mandate isn't there for this for the SNP and everything. I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, if it's 43.5 is good enough for Boris, and I don't begrudge him, I openly accept the fact that the Conservatives in England, that they voted the Conservative and they voted in the Conservatives and they gave Boris his mandate to get Brexit done. However, that didn't really happen in the rest of the UK. That's kind of the issue here. That's why the UK is fragmenting. So it's like I said, it'd be nice if there was actually some decisive decisions coming through in this, but everything's coming through 50-50, where we're just pitting half the population against the other half. And it's frustrating, but hopefully we'll keep talking about this stuff and we'll keep educating people. And hopefully, we'll, end up in a place where just by people becoming more informed, hopefully the discussion will become less hostile and more reasonable. At least that's always my hope from those who know me from my other channel. That's a big part of what I do over there. Talking about criminal justice issues can get quite heated and can get quite explosive. And so I have a lot of experience of dealing with those kinds of explosive and heated situations. And so I would like to bring a more informed and calm discussion to the whole independence and unionist issue. And I mean, I can appreciate how people feel on both sides, but ultimately the tipper for me right now is that Westminster is a disingenuous piece of crap that I really seriously can't even bother listening to anything coming out of there anymore, because nothing that comes out of there that makes any sense, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely right. I mean, the other really important thing is that if Boris has this mandate of 43.5%, if you look through the general elections and Scottish government elections, the SNP have never had less than 45% of the vote. Never. So here we are with a party that
they had 45 in this recent general election as well.
Yeah, that's right. We've never had less than that. So you've got a UK government who's been voted in with a less of a percentage of the electorate vote than the SNP have. So you say that we have no mandate. You say that Scottish people have no mandate. The Scottish government has no mandate.
Right.
The percentages, the figures, and the facts don't substantiate that. Don't support that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's interrupted.
Is it maybe their signal?
I don't know.
That happens from time to time with these live feeds from the marches. They lose
the
they
signal.
lose the signal. Yeah.
Well, it was live, so it's no longer live.
Oh, it's amazing though, isn't it?
Oh, look at that.
I wonder if I'll see my nephew in there.
Sharon, is that the sun? Is that the
Shining
sun
on
shining?
me? Oh, yes,
No.
it is. I think, no, outside I can see a little tiny wee dot. I think it might be
I can see
obscured slightly behind her.
I see shadows of people.
Yes. No, it'll be YouTube ring lights. Portable ones.
Say that is not in Inverness. That must be somewhere else. There's sunshine in there. Cannot be. Oh, there's Gordon. He's still not put the sound on, has he? Has Gordon got audio on that live stream? I think he's I think he's forgot to put the audio on.
Unless Erekose's got it down, maybe.
No,
So
it was
we can talk.
It wasn't on earlier.
All right.
Wait, you guys can't hear this?
No.
I hear it.
Oh, he's got sound on.
You were
cool.
putting it. I thought you were putting on low so we could talk. Oh, there's Catalan flag.
But it's probably better, I guess, that people don't hear it.
Yeah, because it's not, too noisy then, because otherwise it would be.
If that's the case, I'm going to shut it off because it's going to put me off if I'm listening to it.
Yeah, don't distract yourself.
Bummer,
We'll do all the cheering and freedom shouting. Well, I'll not be shouting freedom, I don't shout. I'll not be shouting freedom.
On streams.
That's a really good comment on there again by Cheryl saying, "Hey guys, I don't think UK government understands the longer they wait for IndyRef2, the better for Indy. The younger generation coming to voting age 16 are watching what Westminster are doing to us." I think that's absolutely brilliant and spot on. You think, Sharon?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's it. It's, the way that the younger people and even just yes voters from the last time, their kids are growing up, and the parents are saying, you should vote yes. And, it's like, with all my nieces and nephews, it's like, I'm always showing them my SNP pen.
Yeah.
I'm always like, look at my pen. And it's like, they've got wee drawing books and I'm like, here's a pen, use this, So it's also about encouraging the younger generation to, appreciate that we get what we get in Scotland. And, that they might just go, oh, mum and dad get free prescriptions and that's just a normal way, but it's not normal for the rest of the UK. So it's that's the way I've always been with the youngins. I'm always like, we get that here, and that's why we want to keep Scotland as Scotland, so that we can keep those decisions in our own hands.
Is it derogatory if Captain Horatio Magellan Crunch refers to Scotland as Scatland?
He's a scat man.
I mean, I'm appealing to two Scots here to make
I
that
think
determination
he's
because
taking
I
the
feel like
mickey
he's
out of
taking the
you.
piss.
He
Right.
is taking the piss out of you, very much so.
I see. All right.
But you know, see, to
Wait.
reflect back to what you were saying earlier on about what Captain had said, it just reminded me there about the politicians being liars. They can't really get away with that in Scotland. I mean, just look at the way that the Labour Party gets so decimated with all the lies, and you know, it's like in Scotland you might not be able to go, "Oh, you're a liar," but you know, they certainly don't get away with it. And the politicians kind of know that in Scotland, that they just can't. They can get away with things, you know, south of the border, which is why it doesn't always work when their head offices are down, you know, in Englandshire.
Right.
They don't understand the actual will of the people in Scotland, and they can't really get away with that stuff up here.
I think also that we are so politically aware in
Yes.
Scotland compared to the rest of the United Kingdom.
Mhm.
I mean, in 2012, 2013, the lights really came on in Scotland. I mean,
Yes.
it really became such a politically aware nation. Everybody was talking about politics, about
Yes.
independence, something else, which is very different from England and from Wales and Northern Ireland maybe, but Northern Ireland different because it's along, you know, religious lines, whereas ours wasn't. So we have a very politically aware and very politically astute population and electorate. And I think that's what is helping drive this. And the lights that came on, I think, Sharon, those lights are never going off. Once they're on, you can't switch them off.
Exactly. And I mean, so many of them are old Labour voters, you know, with that union, you know, sort of mantra of, you know, for the people, you know, but that's, you know, it's Labour's lost that long ago, but the people have moved over, and you know, they can see the light. Do you see the light?
Last general election, when the Conservatives in Scotland lost over half of their MPs, also shows they're going, I think, the same way as Labour went. That the people of Scotland, because they're aware, because they are so politically engaged, understand, and that's why the Tories have lost that. I call them Conservatives in Scotland and Labour in Scotland because there is no such thing as Scottish Conservative Party or the Labour Scottish Party. As Sharon said, they are registered in London. Their heads in Scotland are not shown on the Electoral Commission register in their party registration in London. They are not registered with the Electoral Commission in Scotland. So therefore, they are not Scottish political parties. They are UK political parties, and it's a branch, if you like. The only registered Scottish political parties are the Scottish National Party and the Scottish Greens. They are registered in my country. So therefore, they, in my opinion, they represent the views of the Scottish people because they're registered in my country. But can you imagine any other country in the world? For example, say America, Richard, where you had Canadian political parties who came to America, stood for election, put up people to stand for election in your elections in the States, on an agenda and a political agenda for Canada, not for America, and are not registered in your country. Can you imagine that happening? It wouldn't be allowed, right?
Right. No.
Chase them.
So why is it allowed in our country? These are foreign political parties registered in England, a different country, traditionally, culturally, legally, and yet they can still put MPs up and for Scottish Parliament and for the English Parliament in our country, but they're not registered there. So that's a huge issue I have personally as a Scot. If you are a Scottish political party, then great. You have Scottish interests at heart. You have the Scottish people and the electorate's interests at heart. But if you are a party registered in a foreign country, you do not have my country's best interests at heart.
And what was his name? I always forget his name. The one, it sounds like there's an emphasis on it. The one Labour MP. I always forget his name. I don't know why.
Murray. Murray.
He was saying matters to that, you know, words to that effect, that the Westminster shouldn't, you know, really get involved because Not that he was like for independence, but Star Trek.
Tay-siders in space.
Oh dear. But yeah, he was saying that, that they don't have a clue. And I remember when Joanne Lamont resigned, she was saying you're just treating Scotland like a branch office, of England. That was one of her closing, her leaving parting statements. That's the phrase I was looking for.
Yep.
So
it's another really good one there from Cheryl. What do you think about the unionists causing it at Holyrood on Thursday? They're worried. What actually happened is that there were two guys who stood up during First Minister's questions and started to harass and heckle her, shouting that she was, IRA, Brigadier Sturgeon, etc. The really interesting thing about that is that the investigation has been done so far. These two guys, one from Glasgow and one from Pennycook in Midlothian outside Edinburgh, both of them are Orange Lodge members, so very staunch union, radical union. They also have far-right affiliations, and the funny thing about it was they turn up in these green military jackets at First Minister's question time. So they're trying to send a message. This is part of the intimidation that they're trying to put forward. And what it actually does is it shows that the aggression comes from the unionist side. It's not coming from the independence side, the Yes movement side, which will actually help us and will not help them. Because what you will have is a small core, a small minority of real hardcore radicals, unionists, God Save the Queen, We Are the People, Rangers supporters, whatever, and they will never change. But you will have guys who are sort of 50-50 and see that type of behavior and then see how we behave and will think, no, I don't want to get involved in this radical stuff. So I think, Cheryl, that actually they've done more damage to the no campaign than they would have done to the independence campaign.
It's great when you get good comments and stuff like that, because that's what I like about this, because people can actually say, they can ask right in real time, and because you lose something when it's like groups, and you lose a bit of the the feeling of the conversation, a bit sometimes. But I feel sad when I'm looking at these videos, because I reflect back to the video that Erekose did the other day with the Catalan people. That could just as easily be people marching in with the big vans and batons and battering lumps out of all these Scottish
That was actually
people.
something I was going to say to Pete earlier, when he was talking about, talking to other countries about this and potentially them helping Scotland. That's something I'd like to be able to say that I feel like we live in a world where a country like England or whatever, wouldn't send in the military if things didn't go their way. We lost Pete. Oh,
yeah. It's probably signal was probably just
he'll be back. I'll ask again then. But that's one question I have is I wish I could say I could put it past England and Westminster that they would never try that. But I can imagine that if things started to go really, really against them, that they could potentially try that. And so that's one thing I'm worried about, and I would be interested to hear from Pete about what he thinks the world community feels on it, and would the UN get involved if that were to happen. I think
as far as I remember, they didn't get involved with the Catalan situation either. They just said that was Spain's business.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It would seem unlikely that they would get involved.
Yeah. Well, Spain's not threatening to leave the EU either.
No. No.
So maybe there'll be different opinions about.
Yeah, maybe.
Because you can tell the EU wants Scotland.
They do.
part of the EU. They're perfectly wanting Scotland to be part of it.
Mhm.
So I mean, you know, I can see that there may be international interest to want to help Scotland. Hopefully, maybe not though. Maybe up to Scotland. Maybe up to you folks there in Scotland.
Well, I remember at the beginning I was saying to you that, you know, I might have sounded like an alarmist maybe and a bit cynical, saying, you know, that I don't put anything past them. But when you actually look at things in the way that they've developed over these months since you've been following it, you can see, you know, how things are escalating. You know what I mean? And you can actually see, you know, what would you put past them? You know, so I've always said it's not been cynical. It's kind of been, you know, realistic to, you know, be on alert. Let's say.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I was just. I mean, that's why I was. You know, he was talking about that. You know, and talking about trying to educate the rest of the wider world. Obviously, him being over in Kuala Lumpur, and so I was gonna get his thoughts on that. But if he gets back here, apparently he's having a little trouble getting back.
Yeah.
Wonder if he burned through his data. Now they won't let him back on.
Imagine. I hope not.
So.
Oh, it's so nice seeing all the flags and all that. It's really nice.
Yeah. It's a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
Continuing to look for more stuff.
Yeah, I've been looking as well. Well, that's why my head down in case anybody thinks I'm on playing a game or something like that. I have to say that, you know, when we're on the live. Oh, it's so nice though. I mean, you've got your lovely flags behind you as well, Erekose.
Yep. I got
I
Australia.
always sing that, don't I? I sing it, I go, Erekose. It's like, I don't know if anybody else sings it, but I sing it when I say it. But yeah, it's I'm hoping that to maybe see Jeremy in the crowd. He said he'd probably be trying to get a shot of everyone from like the bridge. He said there's a bridge or something like that.
There's a bridge. I see something here. Oh, this is the bridge in the Glasgow March.
Yeah.
Hold on.
And you can see the crowd are not, they don't look like a violent mob. You know, it's not like they've got pitchforks and, you know, it's people with smiles on their faces and flags and braving the cold weather, you know, and they're out there, you know, and kids are there. It's, you know, so it's a kind of, although it's for a reason, it's also that sort of gathering of people in, you know, a nice environment where like-minded people get together, you know, so with a positive message, you know.
Yeah.
Compared to like the, you know, the unionist sides where door-faced and swearing and doing all the sort of offensive signs like you showed in one of your previous videos is from footage of George Square. You know, so I'm wondering if they're going to come across any, you know, offensive people. Hopefully not. So is that a recording from earlier on that you're playing?
It's just something I found.
Is that from that one that our friend sent us last night on that chat?
Well, it was Independence. It's from the Independence Live. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're not posting anything new. They haven't posted anything new here for a while.
Was the other wee one, remember the one, the Inverness one? I'm just trying to find what it was called again. Inverness Freedom March. There was a page for that as well, not just the event page. Yeah, they've got quite a few videos on there. Just now. The Inverness Freedom March. Enjoy.
Okay, there's one.
Poor Pete. It's going to be raging. Oh, thanks, Linda. My wee honey, you too.
If I do this, you guys can hear it.
You don't want to do that? I'll start dancing. EU flags as well, lots of flags. Yeah, 56 unionists. Oh, it looks terrifying. I'd be so scared in there. Mad crowd.
It's windy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, looks like another one. Here, hold on. Back up here.
Oh, thanks, Linda. We all keep our fingers crossed. Absolutely, Cheryl.
All right.
That's just a wee draft in
I don't
Scotland.
need all that.
It's
I
a
don't
wee
need that
draft.
wind noise. Nobody really talking. So
Yep.
the bagpipes are off in the distance that they're not really.
Yeah. I'll see if he maybe messaged or anything.
I was just checking.
Did you message him?
I was just checking it.
Oh. I just got the notification for that message that you sent him.
This
Did that make a bung noise? Did you hear the beep noise of the notification?
I don't think so. No.
Right, good, because I wouldn't want that to be beating a bung.
Here's the clip where they're coming across the bridge. I think this is what you were talking about.
Yeah. Lots of photographers.
And so Inverness has been having their IndyCar is live.
I know, it's great, Linda, isn't it? There's loads of support. I mean, this is just a smaller march. But still, it's great because it's it's like nearly 4 hours away from Glasgow, so it's great if people from higher up in Scotland can make it to the Inverness one. Yeah, stormtroopers for yes. There's always loads of different outfits and stuff like that. It's great. It's great fun.
Is that like?
Oh, Pete's going to be. Wait, actually, hold on. That's maybe Pete. Maybe that was Pete. Maybe that's what he's doing.
Looking for more Death Star pins? Anyway.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. Oh, no, that's funny, isn't it? Oh, dear. But I mean, just look at that. It's lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, even the police cars coordinating.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh,
There's somebody talking.
Unfortunately, IndyCar's audio is not working, folks. There's no audio for me to turn on for you.
That person's hat looked like that donut the other day.
Yeah.
Someone commented on that they were glad to see that you were embracing the Scottish diet, having a nice donut for your breakfast.
Donuts are for breakfast over here. I don't know.
Really? We don't. Donuts are like more of a sort of, you've had your breakfast, you've had your lunch, and then you go, oh, I could go something nice. And you say, oh, here's a wee donut. I'll have that wee donut with a wee cup of tea. Right. Like Jack and Victor with their wee cakes, you know? Yeah.
Well, donuts are a breakfast staple here. I mean, it's kind of what we do. So.
Is it basically because it's a bit of a pancakey kind of thing? So it's a similar idea, just on the go food.
It's just easy. Yeah, it's easy to eat on the go. You know.
You don't get all sticky.
American cops are notorious for basically hanging out in donut shops.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So.
That's true.
Easy food, easy to go, handheld, portable. You know, so unless it's like the cinnamon, rolls or whatever, that stuff gets
sticky. I like them. I like cinnamon rolls. I'm going to end up getting all starving for this. I'll be like, who want donuts? And oh dear. They do have the largest mandate for the referendum. Oh, I know.
Pete is offline. I think he's not even checking messages.
His signals maybe dropped right down.
Or something important happened and he had to...
Yes, possibly, because he
had to go handle it.
Yeah, maybe. And I mean, that's fine. We know that anyway going in. That, if only we had a lip reader. Is there any lip readers out there that can translate?
Yeah, for some reason, IndyCar just doesn't have his audio working properly.
I like waffles. I like waffles.
And maybe he needs a tripod. Because
a steady,
the camera
thing.
A bit wild.
Yeah. Maybe it's the wind. Maybe they're standing still in the wind. Because it can be bright. It can blow really.
Really? Yeah. Hey, if you say so.
It can blow you over. The wind's that strong in Scotland, it can blow you over. It can blow you right off your feet. It really can. Even me. It's not just little people. So apparently Ian Blackford should be there. Yeah. And quite a number of other people. It's so funny when you see all the people when they in random crowd, you go, like you said, the stormtrooper.
Yeah.
It's a great sense of humour.
Stormtrooper in tilt.
Yeah.
That was the best. That was what was funny about it.
Was there any of the other ones on that Inverness Independence March one? Because there was about 6 or 7 videos, I think, on that.
I think there was.
Did you want me to send you that link to that?
I just saw that this was live now, so I switched.
Oh, right.
Because it's still live. It's still live right now. So this is.
Well, I've been checking on the thingy, the other one as well, and
I just figured
seeing
if
what's
it's
what.
happening right now, then let's watch what's happening right now. And and we can always go back to the ones I started playing.
Yeah.
We can start from that bridge footage we were watching right before I started this one. But I figured live was king. So not that the royalty is helping the Scots much either. Queen obviously just gave her assent for
Yes.
this Brexit bill coming up, and there's a lot of hubbub about that because it looks like the Conservatives have tried to make a ridiculous, kind of power grab where they're trying to wrap up dissolving all of the devolved parliaments in the UK.
Well, they're wanting to change the name from being a Scottish government to being a Scottish Parliament.
Anyway,
and it gives them the power to wrap it up, but I don't think they've not said they're going to actually do it, but it'll give them the power to.
But the point is that it's written in there for them to have a power over these Scottish parliaments. And the fact of the matter is that by the agreement of these parliaments or by the act that puts these parliaments in place, that article in Brexit can't even exist without the approval of the parliaments in question.
Yes.
So the fact that they're trying to push this thing through is going to cause what is being deemed now, the term being used, constitutional crisis is what's the words being used. So it's going to be interesting to watch this unfold. Obviously the Conservatives are going to have all the power, and they're going to continue to vote. Oh no, we're fine. Everything we're doing is fine. I mean, they'll probably co-sign. All kinds of tragedies.
Yeah.
Because they can, but ultimately, if it's a constitutional crisis, that will eventually find purchase, and it will eventually matter. And then changes will happen.
Because I mean, we were supposed to be, in the Act of Union 1707, we were supposed to be the two parliaments the two independent parliaments were dissolved, and then the one parliament in Westminster was going to be, that was when that opened. Right. But then we got the devolved parliament in 99. That was supposed to be that we had our own powers again. So, but there's all sorts of clauses in that, that it's like, it's not that we have the full powers like we would have done when we were an independent country as such. But, so it's like, it's kind of engineered in a way to not really give us a chance to be independent if we want to. There's all these clauses. There was all sorts of clauses put in by the Labour government so that no party could have a majority in the Scottish Parliament as well.
Right.
But the SNP managed to, for some magical reason, accrue enough votes because they thought that would never happen. So, I looked on that and I wasn't seeing much on that. Just.
Yeah, that's the wrong one. Hold on.
That's the radio one. So you're enjoying this, Linda? You're going to be wearing a Yes t-shirt soon. I'm going to get Linda a Yes t-shirt soon. Because I know she'll be like, a t-shirt? Not getting you one yet, Erekose. Because you're, maybe get you one standing for Scotland or something like that. Standing up for Scotland or something rather than so. Or standing up for democracy,
Here you go. Here's a live. Oh, here's the speech. Oh, that's Ian. That's Ian Blackburn.
Looks like Ian, doesn't it?
It is Ian.
Calm down. Mind you, we all sound like Ian. Apart from the ladies.
He has that little leprechaun quality to his speech, right?
Leprechaun. I did it, leprechaun.
He just rolls his R's a little more. He just does that. It's distinctive to my ear, anyway.
Yeah.
Was that Westminster ripped up that Scotland Act by taking powers back to Westminster. That's why
It does sound like him.
It's him. I'm sure of it.
Oh, no.
Well,
we'll never know.
Well, here's another video. Let's see what it is. What's the red flag with the blue cross on it?
Red flag with blue.
Yeah, you see on all the flagpoles that have 3 flags on them, the bottom flag.
Right. Is it the stripy one? Red and yellow stripy.
Looks like a blue cross with white border around the blue on a red background.
Not sure. Is it tartany looking?
No, not really.
Tartany.
Right.
Very technical terminology here. Tartany.
There, right there. That. What's that?
Oh. Is that not like a Danish flag or something like that? Don't quote me.
Okay.
I've not recognised it as a maybe it's one of the Scandinavian flags, because the Scandinavians are quite pro-Indy as well, but I'll wait and I'll see. We need Sheldon Cooper with his fun with flags. No, that's the Denmark flag's red and white. The Norway flag's red and blue, like that. And that's what I was saying about the Scandinavian countries are quite, close to our hearts as well. So, but I need to see it again if I see it to see if it looks like, that looks like it. That's the Norway flag.
Okay.
So it's quite good that in Scotland there's all these other countries that we're representing them, and like if they have any kind of marches or things like that, like Scandinavia, not Scandinavia, Catalonia is a prime example. They have so many. When they were having all their marches, they had the saltires and line rampant flags in Catalonia. So you can see there's a Catalan flag there under the.
Who are outward looking and who are independent. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Hey, I just joined in. I love seeing all the kids with flags and stuff like that. I thought that was a bunch of unionists there,
Notice. And there's a very
Is that your man?
That's Ian Blackford, definitely.
Your man.
referendum, Boris, you better think again. Once in a generation or once in a lifetime. But the harsh reality is that after the referendum in 2014, when the Smith Commission met on an all-party basis, and when all parties and yes, when the Conservatives signed up to the Smith Commission, it was accepting the principle that the people of Scotland would have rights in the future to have their say on their future. That referendum will happen. This is the 700th anniversary of the Declaration.
How did you like good old Boris referring to Ian as a rocketing pheasant in the House of Commons?
Well, I think he's got a cheek to say that when I think, as I said, I think Boris looks like he's powered by laxatives when he jumps up.
Yeah, I mean, he's like,
Yes. And that was me being polite about it this time.
He's like, he sounds like when he talks in Parliament, he sounds like a grandpa who's been startled awake from a nap.
Yes.
Like,
Aye.
seriously. Like,
He does.
And he's trying to gather himself. And
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's funny to watch. It's just like, holy
It is.
But that doesn't mean I don't respect the fact that democracy in action gave him his mandate.
Yes.
So that's another point I'm going to continue to
For what it's worth.
For those people who are going to try to ignore it, I'm going to hammer it home again and again. I do support him in the fact that democracy spoke and he has his mandate.
Yes.
But I also feel the same mandate exists for the Scottish, Nationalist Party.
Lots of people coming in.
Yeah.
It's nice to see.
I think this is the one we saw earlier.
Eh?
Thinking this is the one we saw earlier. Somebody asked you, where's the Yes Bikers?
Oh, I know. Yes. Absolutely, Linda. Erekose, did you see what Linda said about that he's our version of Ken Kratz?
Yeah.
Boris.
Well,
I think he makes Ken Kratz look good.
Wait. Has Boris been caught in any sexting scandals?
Well, he was caught paying for some woman abroad. I can't remember the ins and outs of it, but he knows how to hush things, but not any sexting. You always laugh when I say that as well, because it's like as if I'm singing it. I think that's what it is. The Scots are like, you know, sing away, and it's water, honestly, it's no whiskey.
Yeah, so Vista Soul Apartments is here in chat. So number one, they're talking about that the 45% for the SMP in Scotland isn't a mandate like the 43.5% is for Boris down in England. A highly disingenuous statement, in my opinion. And I've looked into this because Villa Soul has commented on a couple of my videos, and I will say Villa Soul is a very reasonable person.
Yes.
For the most part. We just may have some disagreements about things. But this Soul also claims that the 45% for the SNP in Scotland isn't the same because the parties that aren't the SNP are all anti-independence. That is not exactly true.
No.
The Labour Party is very much coming around.
Yes, there are portions of them,
in Scotland. Not the current Labour MP. Don't look to that guy. Certainly not him, because he certainly, is towing Westminster's line. But for the most part, the Labour folks in Scotland are starting to come around to the independence and the referendum idea. So,
and the Scottish Green Party and lots of socialist parties as well. So it's not just SNP.
Yeah.
People often mischaracterise these marches as being a SNP march, whereas you can see it's not. There's very minimal SNP. Just that I've just saw a couple of flags with the wee, the look. Is that cool?
So here's the one from the bridge.
Very Scottish music there, do you hear it?
Yeah. Have you heard the new rap music?
I've heard it and I like it.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's.
Is it no rapper? Does it no call it rapper music? Oh no. But in case anyone's wondering, that's a wee Victor McDade out of Still Game meme that we like. Or is it a GIF? Because it moves. They see the difference. I just call it a meme. It's a meme. One of the wee pictures.
That's Carl Martin from Twitter, Linda. Yeah, I tagged him in my tweet, so that's probably how he ended up here so quick.
Lightning response. I've been to Inverness a few times. I was at Inverness about 4 years ago. 3 or 4 years ago, because we were staying quite near to Inverness in a cottage. So we got a few day trips. I got the most amazing sandwich that nearly killed me because it was like too big. And I was starving, and I was like, oh my god, this is like the biggest sandwich I've ever had in my life. It was in the shopping centre, this place. And I had a bit of a flashback from my youth. We used to have a place called the Pancake Place in Glasgow, and I loved it. I used to get, although it was called Pancake Place, they used to do the most amazing chili hamburgers. Oh. And I always remember that from when I was about 16, 17, spending money my money and stuff going and buying these. So when we were in Inverness, they had one of them in the shopping centre, and I was like, oh my god, we need to get and see if they've got a chili burger. And they had. I was like, no, everyone else wasn't impressed, but I was, because it still tasted the same, which isn't often the way when you go back. Something like 20 years go back, and so. Yeah. But I was chuffed. But Inverness is nice. It is nice.
Yeah, it seems like a very
nicer than Edinburgh. Good on. I love all over Scottish.
Is that castle on the hill? Is it like Edinburgh? Do people go there and say, "Where's the castle"?
Maybe. I don't know what that is. Is that not
It could be something else.
Can you
It
see?
just looks very old architecture, honestly.
Yeah, well, there is loads of architecture everywhere.
Looks like stone art or stonework and stuff.
I need one of our Inverness folk
It could be
into.
a church.
Might be. Or a university.
Or that.
Or a power station. Oh, it's nice though.
Carl Martin. He's shy.
What's up? What's he saying?
Linda's trying to get him on her channel, I think.
Oh, you should.
Come on, Carl. Go talk to Linda. No, I don't.
Because Pete's coming on Linda's. Pete's having bother with his internet, Linda, so it might not be the day that we said. I'll message you and we'll sort it out. Because we were thinking Monday, but we'll need to sort out the day. But yeah, do you know, if anybody's shy about coming on, I'm like the shyest person about things like this. And once you do it once, you actually really want to go back on. So it's, if anybody asks you, you should go on. That's what I say. And don't be letting things hold you back. Because you know what I was like, Erekose, before I come on, I was like, oh, I don't know. I'll be nervous.
You and Linda may have to push Pete to Tuesday.
Yeah.
I have a feeling.
Yeah, that's well. I think it's getting fixed on Tuesday. Maybe.
And it didn't want to let him stream anymore.
Well, if he's watching it and can't get on, you know, we understand. Don't worry. Or if it's his work.
Yeah. Or if he was called.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. I'm worried. I'm actually hope it's that instead of him burning through his data. So. Yeah.
Because I think it's Tuesday before he's getting anyone out to fix the the line. Yeah. So I think it might be another day, but then I might not be able to get in touch with him until that's sorted, if he has went through that.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't even checked. I messaged him after he dropped out, and he still hasn't even checked that message yet. So I
think it's quite common for the mobile data to kind of, the internet over there to kind of fluctuate. Yeah. Especially with being.
I hear Rebel Just for Kicks. You hear that? I love that song. Ooh,
no,
I'm a rebel just for kicks. Yeah, anyway. I love that song.
Go on yourself. Go on you go. You're with the Scots. You have to sing.
Hey,
it's a rite of passage.
If I was in Scotland, I'd sing it.
And it's a rite of passage, and you don't actually even need to sing well. In fact, the worse you sing, you probably get more cheers.
Yeah. Yeah. Now it's.
Is that William Wallace? Kidding on.
Now they've gone over to.
That's somebody got a bag for them. I was hoping I was going to see Jeremy. I can hear. Is that Aretha Franklin singing Think?
Yeah.
See, they put that on for me to sing. Don't sing. I mean, I sang that to my wee nephew.
Freedom.
You gotta sing. Think about what you try to do to me. Because we've just recently introduced him to the film The Blues Brothers. So that's in that, obviously. Oh. Yeah, Linda, Jeremy. He is, isn't he? I don't always feel funny saying that because it's like my nephew, but yeah, all the single ladies like him.
Crud.
Nah, so we'll all just have to go like this. All wrong with it that way.
I can screen capture this one later, and then in my editing I can turn it sideways, but.
Linda, get down. See, I'm bad that way. Put a song on that I like, and I'm like, Forgetting the fact that you're live on YouTube, you know. Cringe fest for later on.
Get down, Sharon.
Yeah.
Look at that dog in the front, man. Woo! Big boy.
Wee t-shirt on.
Yeah. That's a big dog, though.
Yep.
That's freaking Marmaduke right there.
That's one of the miniature Scottish varieties. It's like here in Scotland, you know, go big or go home. It's like vote yes or go home.
Right. Well, I'll tell you something, man. There was a very famous. There was a very famous Scot who was actually a huge, huge part of the American independence and revolution. Back in 1776, John Witherspoon. You know, and there was actually a quote from him that I thought was interesting that I thought everybody should probably hear.
And it's very relevant to today.
Yeah, I think so. And
absolutely.
So, let's see if I can get it back here. I can remember, was it in the Wikipedia article? I think it was, wasn't it?
I sent the picture of it to you on the wee group with you and Neil and I.
Well, folks, great turnout.
Have you got it? Because I can send it to you.
I'll find it. Sorry.
I've sent it in the peak group. It's up on the screen. I was going to say, we do love it when people come on that are not yes voters and stuff like that and have different, you know, views. It's really great because, I mean, there's no point us all just singing the one tune and not learning from each other. It's a great thing to learn in a respectful way.
Yeah. So this quote is from John Witherspoon. Obviously, as I said, was born in Scotland. He went to Edinburgh University, was educated there. He's very, very, very well respected by his peers. He was headhunted essentially by New Jersey, and he was brought in to be the headmaster of their school.
The president.
In New Jersey, president or whatever you want to call it, whichever way you want to refer to it. But anyway, he's in charge. He's the head honcho. They brought him in. So, and that university went on to become Princeton, for those of you who are, you know, interested. So he was brought in for that. Well, not only that, he ended up becoming, for the state of New Jersey, one of their top, you know, picks for the Continental Congress. John Hancock gave him a special honor in the Continental Congress, where he was like their leader of the spiritual and temporal or something like that, like weird. Like he was just like their, well, not leader, but like guide or whatever. It was, you know, basically it's an illustrious kind of honor that was bestowed upon him by John Hancock, who was the president of the Continental Congress, right? So something that was said to John Witherspoon back in the time when the you know, the war or the conflict for the American independence over here in the colonies was going on. And it goes basically to this effect. He made a notable comment on the occasion in reply to another member who argued that the country was not yet ripe for such a declaration. In other words, the Declaration of Independence.
Independence.
He goes, that that in his opinion, it was not ripe for the measure, but in danger of rotting for the want of it. Witherspoon was a very active member of Congress, serving on more than 100 committees through his tenure and debating frequently on the floor. And it doesn't have his. All right, hold on. Let me go. I gotta find his part. Cuts off at his part. Yesterday.
What's his bit note about that he says rotten with the want of?
The part where he talks about how ripe it is, and the best bit of it is not there. Here we go, Wikipedia.
And that wee clip thing?
Yes. Yeah, I'm about to find it.
New looking?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was that on Wikipedia. That was that not that other
Well,
one that I sent you?
He said, well, let's see. Oh, I see. It was okay. All right. Well,
There's a thing about him.
first, I should have just come here first.
What?
So
Come here with.
gotta understand that what I was just reading. So here, I'm just gonna read the full part.
That's the clip. That's for the clip that's the place where that's from. I've just sent you the website that's from.
So John's 1970 or 1776 sermon, "The Dominions of Providence over the Passions of Men," was published in many editions, and he was elected to the Continental Congress as part of the New Jersey delegation. Appointed congressional chaplain by the president of the Continental Congress, John Hancock, and in July of 1976 voted to adopt the Virginia Resolution for Independence. In answer to an objection that the country was not yet ready for independence. According to tradition, John Witherspoon replied that it was not only ripe for the measure, but in danger of rotting for the want of it. And
Yes.
that is exactly what's going to happen here, folks, because, or well, at least there's a danger, serious danger of it, because if Boris and his little clan over there are going to start trying to peel back and roll back the powers of the devolved parliaments and basically in their bid to hold on to power, they're going to start, being undemocratic and start, unlawfully trying to, take away power from those entities. I mean, that's not what good leaders do. That's what scared leaders do.
Yes.
And it's amazing. He's scared, but yet he's still bold because he knows he has a majority. It's amazing actually to watch how he's so scared and yet in power at the same time and not afraid to use it. So he's an interesting cat, and we're gonna have to see where this goes eventually. And I don't know. Hopefully someday somebody's gonna, get him a hairstylist or something, because I don't know what the hell he's thinking with hair. I mean, holy crud. I thought Donald Trump was bad, but geez, Boris is even worse.
It's like there's a
I
politician
meant hair-wise. I'm not talking about any other issue except hair there, by the way.
Yes. Yeah, make that clear. Yep. There's quite a lot of politicians where they say, "Oh, they need a makeover," but then he's not in a boy band, It's like he's maybe thinking if he looks too polished, he might not be taken seriously. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, his hair has certainly calmed down since it used to be. I mean, if you look back, it looks like he's in a. It looks like his hair's at that march. Do you know what I mean with the wind?
Yeah.
Linda just said there about the families march, and it's great to see since this is the future. Absolutely, I love seeing the kids. I love seeing it,
Yep.
and it's like, you know, that's the younger generation, and you know, it's a non-violent event. You know, just because it's two different sides of two different opinions on Scotland, it is nice to see Scotland, you know, a portion of Scotland coming together in a friendly, non-violent way. It's like they're a credit.
Right.
A credit to us.
If you're a registered EU citizen resident in Scotland, you will be able to vote in any organised in Scotland only local Holyrood and referendum.
Yeah, EU citizens can vote. That's
not in UK elections, right?
Yeah, yeah. So any numbers for, you know, if you were to look at the numbers for independence based on just the general election figures and stuff like that, you have to take into consideration that 16 and 17-year-olds weren't allowed to vote, like there's, you know, they're saying in the comments, and EU citizens. So I mean, they make up a big, you know, a good proportion as well. So
right,
could be a tipping point.
Vista del Sol or Vista Sol Apartments here brings up
Villa Sol.
Villa Sol.
Yeah, just like Della Sol or something.
Corrected, but anyway, okay.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Villa Sol.
I'm not
or Villa.
That their status will change and they won't have the right to vote. That's going to be an interesting thing because obviously, as I was just saying, the fact that that's in the Brexit Act is actually unconstitutional because it's improper for the Conservatives to have put that in there.
Yes.
Because it requires a vote of the parliaments that it refers to. Mm-hmm. They have to sign off. That's what's been agreed. That's what's in now. That's the way it is now. So the fact that they're trying to slip this in and think that they're just going to pull the wool over everybody's eyes, I think they got another thing coming. I think it's going to go through the courts, and the courts are eventually going to say, no, yeah, you can't do that. You've already made this agreement. You can't do that. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
I mean, that's what I think that's going to be. But it's going to get argued about. It's going to be a heated debate. I'll tell you. It's going to get hot.
Yes.
Until eventually the courts probably resolve it. That's where I see it going. So,
absolutely, Scottish American use the peaceful tools to oppose. Absolutely, that's so our mantra is we're not keen on anything, you know, non-peaceful. Let's say. Yeah.
Was somebody holding up an advertisement right there?
Probably. It's like you in Canada. You in Australia, I mean.
We weren't advertising, though.
No, I know. I'm kidding on. But they thought you were. They thought you were.
Stadium.
They thought you were.
Had been an advertisement, I think me and Stacy might have got carted off to jail.
Someone sent me hang on. Here's a link to one that's live just now. It's going to pop up on the ISAs. That's one that's live just now. I think it just came up on my notifications. It's more of it in the city. But that's like live, like as we speak. I don't know what the guy's saying though. Well, it says it's live, but it might. I don't know. No, what it's saying now was live.
But the bikes up past, you'll recognise some of these people.
Shouting Tories out of there.
Actually, this is no longer live either, but it's 20 minutes.
Aye, that's it. Yeah, it said, and then it said it wasn't live. Was that a one? Was that? What's that uniform?
It's the one you sent me.
Yeah. It's just because it came up on my Facebook, and I thought I'll send it over.
Oh, it's 20-minute video right in the city, so that's cool. We'll
Yeah. Saves you flitting back and forth.
And then we'll go ahead and wrap up probably after this video.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely have to get together with Pete when his internet gets better.
Yes.
Because I do have some questions for him. He's quite a knowledgeable guy, folks.
He is.
Background in law enforcement. He trains hostage negotiators, which is a very interesting aspect of what he does and why everybody should pay attention when he's on Linda's channel here coming up next week, because he's got the expertise to really criticize Nina.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Absolutely
going to be pretty awesome. So
go and check out Linda K. Listening's channel if anyone's
I
not.
didn't think of it myself first. But anyway.
She's got connections.
No, but hey, Linda thought of it, and I think it's a brilliant idea. So make sure everybody go over and check that out, because I'm sure Pete's gonna have a lot of interesting things to say.
Yeah, well done, guys.
And we might have footage from my nephew for another time as well. He's going to send me over stuff. So,
how you doing, my man? I'm good, how are you?
I think he was going to try and get some good footage of the Ian Blackford stuff and all that as well. So,
oh, good. I like.
So I think that's what he was going to try and do. That's what I said to him. I went, "You're going to have to get his man from." He's not really his man, you know. It's just that's what I say. I just kid him on.
I know.
Just kid you on.
I do like it.
It's like a wee bromance you've got, you know.
I just like it. He just talks sense.
Yeah.
He's passionate. I mean, I just like it. He's reasonable, passionate. It's hard to balance those things. To be reasonable and passionate, it's hard. It's difficult to do. So I always respect people that can do it.
Oh, Linda's saying you can come on too, Pete.
Oh, I'd be happy to, Linda. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm coming on as well. She might not want me on anymore if she's getting used to.
Yeah, we can help bring Peter up to speed and get him kind of.
Yeah.
So, absolutely. I'll be happy to join you.
Jimmy. Hiya.
But in case it's piquing anyone interest, a man was held hostage, and when he was escaping out the back, I'll just say briefly, the police shot him instead of the hostage taker, and there was a whole other shifty business going on. So if you're interested, you definitely should go over and look at Linda's K Listening's channel and Erekose and Making a Murderer's got loads of stuff as well, and it's either called like the Michael Funk stuff or the Eagle Nations stuff if you're looking for it. There you go. My wee advert for you, Linda. But definitely it's great. Look at the outfits.
I just figured everybody should see what's on my back wall.
Yes. Oh, look at it.
Here's the song, you ready?
Do you not think they sound like Pete?
Right, I actually was thinking it sounded like Pete.
Yeah. It's like, here, wait a minute, how's he ended up over there? That's why we can't get him. You're welcome, Linda. I love Linda's channel.
We're gonna win, guys.
So, Sharon, they've been doing this in Inverness for years.
I don't know how long they've been doing it, but I think they've been doing it for a good bit of time. The marches, like Pete said earlier on,
He's a smile at least. Go on.
there's a Union Jack. I thought I could see one. There's one Union Jack on the fence, one flag on the fence. I don't even think they've brought a Unionist out, just the flag.
Right.
Maybe they've went to the pub because they realise it's not. There's a lost cause. But yeah, it's great when people get together like that for, you know. No, it's all Inverness, Linda. There's a city part of Inverness, and then there's like, you know, the woodland bits and country walks and stuff like that. It's quite a diverse city. So yeah, so it's this.
I'm sorry.
No, what were you going to say?
How long has the all under one banner march been going on in Glasgow?
I think that's since the 2014 stuff.
Since 2014.
Yeah, I don't know if it. Sorry, what?
Sorry, and then you believe that the Inverness marches predate that?
Well, I think that's what Pete was saying.
Right.
Well, everybody was marching and getting together like before, as one unionist, before the 2014. So it was like maybe 2012 or something like that. They all kind of started maybe. But certainly all these places have had, you know, before the independence referendum stuff came up, they've always had Free Scotland, you know, signs in places, you know, so
Well done.
It's a large march. How big is this?
Inverness, it's nowhere near as big as Glasgow. I don't know if it's maybe a bit the same as Edinburgh, maybe. There's lots of outlying districts. It's very
Right.
but to say how big it is, I'd be telling a lie. But it's nowhere near as big as Glasgow. I think maybe it's in comparison with Stirling. I would say maybe. It feels a bit like the size of Stirling.
Wish I could have arranged to be there for one of these.
I think you'd like it. I think you all would like
I'll tell you what, it seems like it's a lot cheaper to travel to Scotland in the months, like the early months of the year.
when it's freezing.
Freezing, I suppose.
Yeah.
So the airlines severely discount the tickets.
Mind you, that's a bit of a cheat because we don't really get a summer. So it's not like it's a bit of a cheeky thing to price it for peak season, you know?
Well, it seems like the holiday season was the most expensive. It was around, I think, $3,000 for the round trip.
What?
I was like, whoa!
No, I know. I think you'd rather come and put a jumper on, you know?
I found some as low as like $700 or $800, but that was like in January, February, March.
Yeah.
And it just steadily climbs as it gets towards the end of the year.
Yeah. It'd be good to know when an independence, if it's called, you know, a referendum's called, because there definitely would be a lot of, you know, a lot of marches and things like of this nature, you know, like prior to that, for a good bit of time prior to that.
Oh. Hey. Well done.
I don't believe we should just keep voting until we get yes, because I don't think that's a fair thing. But I do think that the fact that we're getting taken out of the EU, we deserve another vote. Not indefinite votes, just another one.
I'll tell you where I would stand on this. If Brexit wasn't happening, I would be like, no, you guys, you really need to wait.
Yeah.
You really need to just let it be for a while.
Lots of us would say that.
Yeah, exactly. But because of Brexit, and because 64% of Scots did not vote to leave the EU, this is an issue. I'm sorry, it's an issue. No matter what Westminster tells you, it's an issue. It is an issue. Bring out your dead.
It's 50,000 population in Inverness. I wonder how many is in Stirling. Does anyone know? Save me looking rude and going on my phone.
There's a lot of people.
64% of Liverpool don't want.
I'm gonna
I know.
Well, I know the big cities in England didn't vote for Brexit, but obviously the more rural areas did. It would seem, and that makes sense because the city is where most of the businesses are going to be, and they're going to be like, "Wait, we don't want to be taken out of the single market. What are you doing to us?"
But do you know something, Villa? So that would only apply with Liverpool if England had had a referendum on whether to keep Scotland or not. The fact that we actually had a referendum of whether to stay part of the Union and the EU was such a significant part of that makes that not quite the same circumstances. But yeah, I can sympathise with the people in the rest of the UK that don't want to leave. Oh, there's Jeremy. Oh, you had a conversation with Ian Blackford. Oh, everybody, please go and look at Jeremy's channel as well. He's an amazing filmmaker.
Oh, man.
And my lovely nephew. Give him a wee shout out, eh? Scott, he does a lot of films about Scotland, videos about Scotland.
I would love to get Ian Blackford on.
Oh, I know.
I
hope you gave us a wee mention. It's a pity you couldn't get Jeremy on.
We can have Jeremy on in a little while. I gotta run somewhere. I'll be gone for a couple hours, but we can do it after that.
I'll see if Jeremy's busy. See if he's busy. Jeremy, you busy later on? We put him on the spot, you know. You hear what they're singing?
Give me a shout out. Got it on camera. Oh, sweet.
Oh, brilliant.
That's sweet.
Aye, but did he blow my kiss? Oh, brilliant. Great. See, that's you put it in the hands of the Scots and you get well represented. Oh, that's great. So we will hopefully be able to get that footage over when you can as well, and that'd be great.
It seems that way with the Scots. You either get an abundant amount of love or you get the piss taken.
Yes.
It's there's no really.
The more they take the piss, though, that's actually a more significant sign of how much they love you, because it's like if they don't like you, they just don't talk to you. It's like they don't waste their humour on you. So yeah, you get love bombed first, and then you get
Well, Villasol. Okay, let me read Villasol's comment first. I genuinely feel the EU is just a convenient excuse for indie fans. And if we voted no again, there would be another excuse in 4 years' time to have another vote. Just an opinion. So here's what I would say to you, Villasol, is that I disagree with you. I believe that Scotland decisively, see, this is in one case where we can use the term decisively in its actual, proper way, because Scotland voted decisively 64% in favor of remaining in the EU. That's decisive. So that is why I say this is an issue. It is a legitimate if and it should be taken seriously. And I agree with you. If in 4 years, if they have a referendum and Scotland votes no again, and in 4 years they're coming back trying to say that they want another referendum, obviously I have to say I need to know what significant change is going to happen in 4 years before I can make this determination. But I will say it's unlikely that it will be a big enough change for it to be able to trigger a referendum, or it's unlikely to be a big enough change at that point to be considered a significant change. But obviously I'd have to judge it on its merits at the time. I would have to judge it on its merits at the time. But yeah, I would say it would be difficult, and And if they did try to do that in 4 years on a frivolous reason, I would be with you. I would be right there going, no, you guys are being ridiculous. Wait. But I don't feel that way here because the honest truth of it is Brexit is a huge change. Scots very decisively voted against it. And that has got to be respected. And like I said, a big change in government is one of the things that can trigger a referendum. It is in the agreement as one of the things that can trigger a referendum. So it's all there. And so at this point in time, the referendum is necessary, in my opinion.
I think I just saw our other Inverness, the steward, let's say, the way to say his name. I think we just saw the steward. And he's got an interesting channel as well, hasn't he? Our friend the steward.
He's
the Inside Independence.
A lot of good information over on his channel. It's
with any luck, we might get a little chat.
You got to really watch out what you get from the BBC, folks. I mean,
yes,
it's all. I see what the Scots are talking about. It is slanted. They only report on certain things. They don't report certain other things. It's very slanted. So whatever you want to think about, Donald Trump, at least we can thank him for one thing. He coined the phrase fake news so that we all started analyzing where we get our news from, whether it's credible. Now, he may be the biggest source of fake news, but at least he coined the phrase and got us all thinking about it.
It's fighting fire with fire, I think that's what it is. Fire with fire. What was I going to say? I was going to say something straight in my head now. Oh, aye. But the EU have already said that we meet all the criteria apart from that deficit, but we're already working under the same laws and the same things, and they've not said that they wouldn't be open to us coming in. Oh no, I remember what I was going to say. You need to update your Erekose on Making a Murderer title credits. You have to get update your Erekose on Making a Murderer title credits because you're quite happily emblazing the BBC's international news as being. And right away I was like, oh, he needs to get that off of there right away. Just put a picture of Ian Blackford in its place.
Well, that was made by me. That was made
years ago. I know.
Very, very special.
Yes.
And I can't say who, but it was made by somebody very special, and I'm very attached to it.
Yes. Well, we'll let you have it, and we can say that maybe 1% of their stories are true. So you're still representing. I can't believe there's one unionist.
I mean, I'm not afraid to say that I heartily support the fact that the Tories there in Westminster did get their mandate. I mean, I'm sure yes voters want to punch me in the face every time I say that, but
not yes voters.
And I will acknowledge it. That's me. But it's also a mandate for the SNP in Scotland because they got 45%.
I can't remember who. Do you remember I sent you that link through Twitter? Where that news reporter was trying to make out that the EU wouldn't let us back in, and there was one of the guys from the EU was interviewing, and he says there's no reason why they wouldn't let us in.
Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, because Villasol saying that they wouldn't change the rules, and they've not. They haven't said anything on it because there's no need to at this point. But that's clearly somebody from the EU cabinet coming out there.
Friend Susan. That looks like my friend Susan. Weird. My friend Susan Sexton. I kind of an uncanny resemblance a little bit there.
Yeah.
Enjoy see you
Scottish doppelganger.
We've got that. Oh.
Do I keep hearing Pete?
Yeah.
That's all good. It's all
The guy with the phone definitely sounds like Pete.
There you
Yeah.
go. We'll see he's at the park.
Right, yeah, Pete. Now we know where he is. Wee thumbs up there.
All right. Well, that was a lot of fun.
It was great.
And unfortunate that we lost Pete, but
Oh no, he might. Oh no, it'll be later on. It'll be too late for him later on.
yeah. So we'll have to we'll wait till he gets wired internet and
Yeah,
good internet.
I'm sure he'll be wanting to come back on at some point another time.
I do want to
Because he's
questions. I want to ask him some questions about how he sees, what he thinks might unfold, and particularly what he thinks that with UK and the line it's taking, what he thinks they might be capable of, and that sort of stuff. I mean, I'm very intrigued to ask him about that sort of stuff, and I'm also very intrigued to get over on Linda's channel with him to talk about the Michael Funk situation, because those of you who don't know, my other channel I have. I'm at 60. I think I'm at 69 now, or what? I think I'm at 69.
just shy of 7. Yeah,
Shy of 7,000 subscribers over there.
7 grand. You nearly said 7 grand.
7 grand. That's 7,000.
Yeah,
Right.
I know.
So we normally talk about criminal justice issues over there, true crime. I have a huge issue with the way that the juveniles are basically handled in our criminal justice system, or at least at times how they're handled in our criminal justice system. And so my channel over there is all rolls, the criminal justice issues, the true crime, and all that into a ball. And it's called Erekose, I'm Making a Murderer. And so one of the cases we follow over there is the Michael Funk Eagle Nation case, which is also out of Wisconsin, like Making a Murderer is with Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey. And what happened was there was a hostage situation at this motorcycle shop back in 2015, and it turns out one of the owners was able to get free of the shop as the hostage taker was still inside. He was able to get out. He made it into the back alley, and he was trying to escape. And in the midst of trying to escape what was going on in the shop and the hostage taker that was in there, he was shot down by the police that were responding. So we're going to be talking with Pete because he has expertise in hostage negotiation training. I mean, this is his this is where he shines. It's right in his wheelhouse. So it's going to be very, very interesting to hear his opinions about this. So I encourage
Also,
you to come check that out.
I was just going to say that if that is piquing anyone's interest, you also should note that the person that started shooting him first had actually been shot in the helmet. The cop should never have been there.
He should have been.
He should never have been there.
Absolutely should have been.
So, someone that's been shot in the head, he had a big black eye, and he was all,
When you hit like that, and you think about how close you came to losing your life, folks. I'm sorry. We all tend to want a little. We all in that situation kind of want our pound of flesh, and that's why this officer should have been removed, and he shouldn't have been in a position to do to be able to do what ended up happening. So, like I said, it's going to be very, very interesting to talk to Pete about that. So, great job, Linda, thinking of that, because you definitely thought of it before I did, and
it was actually me. It was me.
Well, there you go.
I know, I'm kidding on. It was me and Linda. I'm not taking all the glory. But I mean, I found Pete, so
yep. You brought Pete to the conversation.
Use my spidey sense
on the table.
Yep.
So, all right. So I hope you guys have had fun following the Independence March there in Inverness today. Obviously, there was a lot of support there. A lot of people, this is a tough thing. It's a tough issue, but honestly, Westminster is not honoring any of the commitments they made in 2014, which is another reason why I believe that the referendum is justified, because England came down there with their MPs and they schmoozed and they lied and they said all these things, and Scotland will be an equal and blah, 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 blah. None of it's true. None of it. And they want to, and so listening to Westminster cling to this ideology, I guess they have, that because of these sound bites where they said it would be a once in a lifetime referendum, that was probably, in my mind, that was them saying, make sure you get out and vote, your conscience, because we're not likely to get another one for a long time. That it seems to me more of a warning than it was a promise. And so that's why when I hear these Westminster MPs relying on it so heavily as if it were a promise, when it was really just a soundbite and was really meant to be a warning and not a promise. And so you see all that disingenuous stuff. They came down there, they lied. Within 2 years, they're ripping the UK apart, pulling everybody out of Brexit that didn't want to. Ireland didn't want to either. The numbers were closer to 50-50 in Ireland, but
still,
the matter is they still voted to stay in the EU. And so England continued to barrel forward with this, even in light of the fact that the vote was close to 50-50. It was going to fragment their United Kingdom, and they barreled forward anyway. And so what's going to happen is going to happen. And I don't have any sympathy for Westminster because they don't have any sympathy for what they're doing.
No.
Zero. So don't ask me to have sympathy for Westminster because that's just not going to happen.
Do you know, one thing I was going to say, people often mention the deficit and say that we won't be able to get back into the EU because of the deficit, right? Well, as you know, the Scottish government don't have any control over that deficit. These are all expenditures that are made out with their control. So they could just spend what they like and hold us prisoner then, couldn't they? They could say, do you know what I mean? Effectively, they could say, oh, you can't afford this because of this deficit. Well, if they're the ones that's building up the deficit, then surely that is a failure in their part, not our part.
Right.
So I would very much like for some of the people that are against independence to come forward with this information on the deficit. Where do they actually think this deficit's coming from? And to have sources for it so that we could have a look into it, Erekose, would you agree?
Yeah.
That if they're saying this deficit is, the SNP's fault, we want to have a look at that. So we do want to see both sides of it.
And we're also going to be looking into what Parliament or what Westminster is doing with the Scotland office there in Westminster. We're going to be very intrigued as to what's going on there, because if what I hear is correct, it would seem that some more disingenuous activity is happening through that office. Yes. And so we're going to be looking into that. Obviously, we're going to fact check it first before I speak about it here. But we're looking into that as well, because there's some interesting claims that are being made, and so we're gonna dig in.
But we are eager to hear from people that have relevant sources that can be checked, so that we can look and see what we've got, and then look at see what they said. We're both open-minded.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, even though I've got the yes, I still want to make sure that that what I'm standing for is, and I'm open to hearing other sides, and that's what an open-minded person does. They don't just blindly, I know it's a bit of a dafty because I've got a big yes flag, but that's how I feel at the moment, But if things came forward and what sensible person wouldn't reflect and, look into it further?
Yeah. Let's see. All right, before we go, Villasol says Cameron never wanted to Brexit.
No, I didn't.
How you complain the Tories for that?
Well, they did trigger Article 50
3 years before Brexit even started, so we gotta take that into account. Cameron wasn't really part of Brexit.
Well, he was Prime Minister when he called for Brexit.
Oh, did
but when we got the Leave vote, he stood down, and Theresa May was the one that came in, but she was the one that triggered the Article 50. So she was a Remainer as well, but they triggered the Article 50, which meant that was the leaving process.
Yeah.
So even though he was a Remainer, and it was basically like David Cameron didn't really want, a lot of them didn't really want it, but they felt like they should be democratic and give the people the right to decide these things. Right. And I'm laughing when I say that, because it's like, to even say anything conservative as being but then they kind of made it in a way that it was like, as you know, the people didn't really know what they were voting for. Unlike the independence referendum, people were much more informed. But like I've always said, Scotland is such a beautiful country, and we're very lucky to have the small population that we've got for our land mass. When I look at the size of the rest of the UK, it's not that much bigger than us, and there's like 60 odd million people.
Right.
So you're obviously going to have a different opinion if you can look out to fields and, all that sort of thing, to maybe feeling like you're not getting doctor's appointments and all that. But that's the government here's fault, the Westminster government's fault. That's not the EU. And coming out of the EU is not going to change how the Conservatives are treating people. So it's that way.
Right.
And funding that comes from the EU will be stopped, obviously, because they're not in there, which helps a lot of the farmers and all the different projects and stuff like that. Right.
So regardless, Brexit, when Brexit started to happen, he steps out.
Yeah. So, the next day.
So Tories did not campaign for Brexit. Whether they campaigned for it or not, they are championing it now. Mm-hmm. So that's me. I don't understand what hair you're really trying to split there.
Boris Johnson was one of the ones that was the major campaigner for Brexit. And Nigel Farage.
Most punchable face or top five most punchable faces. Anyway.
Nigel Farage and all the UKIP people were, standing in front of the White Cliffs of Dover doing their campaign, for Brexit.
Right.
So, yeah. But I think people didn't know what they were voting for. So, yes, it's democratic to leave because that's what the majority vote for. But they shouldn't just have stonewalled Scotland from even having an opinion or even having any kind of compromise. The fact that it's like stonewalled, they've made it harder than it needs to be.
Yeah. If Scotland weren't equal, they would not have been excluded from the negotiations.
Yes, exactly.
It's empirical logic, folks. You can look at Westminster and just use empirical logic and just go, nope, that doesn't wash.
Yeah, the Tories didn't campaign for Brexit, but they still had to, they still were the ones in power that implemented it when it came down to that was what the vote was. But really, it should have been a looser vote than it was. It should have been everybody votes, but then it should have been, this is what you're voting for, and there should have been a deal coming forward, and then people should have decided whether they wanted to take that to vote for it as the deal came forward, to see whether they could decide at that time whether it was a beneficial thing for the country. So, and I mean the whole of the UK. So the fact that it was a blind vote, and it's such a leap of faith, and it's like, it's like people believe in 350 million a week to the NHS, and the figures on that are pathetic, really.
Yeah. So Tories,
they did carry out the will of the voters. That's true.
Tories are simply carrying out the will of the voters, though. They didn't.
They could have been more sensible about the question. They were the ones that posed the question.
They didn't want it, but once the people voted, they felt they had to. Sorry. Bill Soul, I got a respect for you. I love you. But that seems
a leap of faith.
Being a little disingenuous because listen, look, as I've said, this vote was not very decisive. I don't care how you try to spin it. The vote was not decisive. And moving forward on this was more likely to create rifts in the UK. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, the voters voted for it, but God, it's such a narrow margin, and it was bound to create so many problems within the United Kingdom that the Tories might have thought, maybe this is going to be very problematic. Maybe this is, how about this? How about they just slowed the hell down and just had everybody part of the negotiations? And if it took 5 years to come up with a plan for leaving the EU, then let it take 5 years, but let it be democratic. Yes. Not this train wreck that's being forced through and being, it's just a square peg being hammered through a round hole. That's really what's happening. That's seriously what's happening. Or maybe not square, but basically something that doesn't quite fit is being pounded in. Mm-hmm. It's just, So anyways, that's
But the Tories are at fault for posing the question because no one was asking for it. It's not like there was people marching through London, Scotland, and all different places in between asking for us to leave the EU. It just wasn't happening. And they obviously had an ulterior agenda and posed the question thinking that probably people would vote to remain because people prefer to stay with the, better the devil you know kind of thing.
with the status quo.
Right. With the status quo. So I think they were very shocked and that's why they didn't have a plan. They didn't have any plan. There's nothing in place, nothing. So yes, independence was a leap of faith, but there was a plan. That's the difference. Right. And people knew what they were voting for. So respectfully, I can see where you're coming from, but obviously it's a different point of view. So.
And yes, I recognize that you're a Remainer, Villasol, but I mean, I understand your comments. So
yes,
and in terms of when I see something in the comment that I feel is not, well, I feel that I can offer a different point of view, then I will, because it's this kind of, reasonable kind of conversation that helps people learn.
Yes, and I love it.
You know what I mean? That's what it is. So
yeah,
that's what I'm all about. And like I said, I went through the trial by fire over on my other channel because criminal justice and things like that, all that kind of stuff, it gets heated. It gets volatile sometimes. So that's where I learned. So, I mean, I love reasonable, logical discourse. And we don't, even if I don't agree with you, doesn't necessarily mean you're wrong. It just means I don't agree with you. and obviously, as we continue to research these things and things begin to become clearer, we all begin to become more informed. And being more informed helps, because if people are more informed, then it's not so hard to get everybody to kind of understand what's happening. If more people start to kind of just take part in the conversation and get familiar with some of the main issues that are at stake, and it can inform the conversation in a big way. And that's really one of the things that I want to facilitate. It's really what I want to create is a conversation about this, because everybody needs to get better informed. I don't feel, I'll put it this way. When I look at the fact that 1.2 million Scots voted for the SNP in the recent general election, and then I know that 1.4 million people voted for other parties in Scotland. Okay, I take those two and I add those two together. 1.2 plus 1.4 equals 2.6 million. There's 5.4 million people in Scotland, folks.
There's 4.4 million. 4 million are eligible voters, though.
Okay.
The other part of that's kids and
maybe kids. Fair enough, but still 2.4.
So
let's go with the figure of 4 million are voting age, right? So that means 1.4 million people couldn't be bothered. Let's get those people bothered.
Yes.
Yeah. They can't be bothered. Well.
But I mean, I think it's great. I think that's great. The Villasol is saying they knew exactly what they were voting for in both, and I think that's great. If that was your, if you've taken that time to get to know what you were voting for, and that's great. But so many people don't, and they haven't, and they just couldn't be bothered, or just thought I'll vote whatever the news is telling me to vote. And if the news is coming across with lies after lies and fear tactics and all that, and people just go, oh, I'm going to end up losing my house, I'm going to lose my job, I'm going to, so they're going to vote for where they're, and look at the newspapers, they're just full of lies. And so if people are saying that's where they're getting their information from, then you're only as informed as where you're getting your information from.
I would say have faith in your Scottish government. That's my advice to you guys in Scots, because look at how much better your NHS is compared to the rest of the UK. I mean, that alone should tell you that your politicians in Scotland in your parliament are looking out for you, like literally, and they care, like they literally care.
Yes, they do.
I mean, that blows my doors off. I mean, I'm not used to that from politicians. I'm used to politicians serving themselves, and I'm sure the SNP, I'm sure some of them probably do serve themselves in some ways, because
Yes, it's
people are
possible. Yeah.
people, and they're corruptible, they're whatever, they're not always honorable, they're not,
Egos and
yeah. So there may be some shenanigans, but you know
Mm-hmm.
what? I'll tell you what, it's got to be a lot less shenanigans than what's happening elsewhere, because Scotland has a stellar NHS, and it's
Yes.
at risk at the moment. I think that's another thing Scots
Yes.
need to. If you want to fear about losing whatever,
Yeah.
if you leave the UK, fear about losing your NHS if you don't, because right now that's one of the biggest deals for me, where I'm
Mhm.
looking at going, yeah, the NHS in Scotland is highly exposed at the moment.
And the SNP were trying to put a bill forward to make our NHS safe. That's what they were trying to do. And I think that get poo-pooed from, you know, the people in power, you know.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, I think it's difficult to know who to trust, and I think that's what we're endeavouring to do. If there's shenanigans on both sides, you're probably going to see it here. Do you know what I mean? You're going to be like, right, this wasn't, you know, legit, but you could see with the other side is, you know, you're going to see both sides. I think it's not just like some channels that would maybe be just like one-sided view. It's like, whereas you do want to have all the views,
Yes.
for your own learning experience, you know. So
Yep. And to further punctuate that, folks, when I started out on my other channel, it was about, for those of you who may know, you may have seen on Netflix, Making a Murder, about Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey. And on my other channel, when I first started looking into the case, a lot of people were flocking to the groups that were all about innocence for, you know, and everything. The group I spent most of my time in was a group that had both sides in it. I wanted to hear what the other side was saying, and I wanted to know what they were saying. You know, well, I call it the other side now, but at the time it wasn't really the other side. When it came to Stephen Avery at that time, I was undecided. I wasn't sure where I stood with Stephen. I was absolutely certain Brendan was. I was 100% certain of Brendan's innocence, but with Stephen, I was still very much on the fence. And so I was in a group that had both sides, because I wasn't trying to limit myself to one side. And I have the same attitude with Scottish independence.
That's where we're similar that way. I was exactly the same. It's like, I think I can say this, I think I don't want to be the kind of person that's duped by a documentary.
Right.
I think that's
oh, you know. By the way, those are the words that come out of guilters, people that
that we've only watched the documentary, whereas really we've read the case transcripts, everything. You know, it's like brain-numbingly amount of information and all that sort of thing. But
we're used to listening to disingenuous things.
Yes, that's his favourite phrase. So yeah, so that's it. We're not duped by a documentary. Just like maybe the people in some of the no voters are duped by the media, let's say. But yeah, so it's made myself laugh now. But yeah, I was the same. I thought,
you see,
there's no way, Brendan.
Sharon.
Oh,
do you want to take that one?
Well, you know.
Oh, we can talk about what they're doing right? And then we can address that. Looks like one solitary situation that they're talking about there. Not like it's an epidemic happening all over Scotland.
Well, that was the super hospital. That was where the
virus,
with the water, with the water, yeah. And that was from a sink that hadn't been used, and the water.
You know how many babies are dying in English hospitals? Trust me, it's a lot higher.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, but you don't hear about that though. That's the thing.
Facts on that, by the way, Villasol. So that's how I know. When I just saw that, I was like, "Oh."
That's why I was like, "Oh,
total unionist right there, right there. That was unionist because it's not taking into account the facts. That's one sole thing that happened in one hospital one time. Okay, there's a bad record going on in the NHS down in England. It's not. There's a lot more disturbing things going on, but nobody's talking about it.
The other thing is, we always have to remember although health is a devolved issue in Scotland, right? Meaning that we can decide, I'm pure running, I'm Nicola Sturgeon now. I mean, Scotland's government can decide where the budget that they get for the NHS, they can use that, they can spend that how they see fit, right, for the NHS. But we only get a proportion. It's like they figure out how much the rest of the UK is getting for the NHS budget, and then we'll get our share of that, if you get what I mean. So if they cut the budget in the rest of the UK, our budget for the NHS will be cut. So things where they maybe would have had the funding 5 years ago, they won't have it maybe now. So yes, things can take longer to happen, but that's all. But yeah. So it's like that's what they always say. It's like the money's, every year. I mean, they don't even know what the budget is going to be this year.
Well, yeah. And it's not going to come in until literally the day the Scottish councils need to start setting their tax rates and stuff. I mean, this is such a train wreck, what's coming out of Westminster right now. Absolute train wreck. And, I mean, look, it is bizarre. It's worrisome. Like I said, I'm not lying when I said I feel like the Scottish NHS is highly exposed at the moment. I feel that is a justifiable concern.
Yes.
Because, Boris wants to talk. Like another thing coming out of Westminster. Okay, look, we'll talk about disingenuous. Another thing coming out of Westminster right now. They are trying to act and say that because Scots, or a fair amount of Scots, actually learn Gaelic and Gaelic, that this somehow hurts their intelligence. This is the claim. This is the claim coming out of Westminster right now, folks. Do you know how stupid that is? Do you know what they told us growing up in American schools? American schools, they used to tell us, you know that over in Europe, you have to take a foreign language, usually in elementary school, that they want you learning a second language that early because it helps your brain develop so that you become more intellectually able.
Yep.
Do you understand how stupid it is to hear Westminster talking about learning a second language is a hinder to intelligence?
But maybe that's what the wee Scottish lass.
Continue to hear me talk about disingenuous statements coming out of Westminster. There's another.
But just like Moscow said that, didn't she, when she was England in our wee Scottish lasses video? We stripped your silly little language out your skulls. Yeah, right. Remember? So,
right.
I mean, I'm hoping to. I don't really know a lot of Gaelic. I don't claim to. Living in Glasgow, it's not like we don't go down the shop and say, can I get a loaf and a pint of milk in Gaelic? The people would be like, what? So, I mean, but up in the Highlands, there's still a load of people talking, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful language. So I wish I could learn it. I wish I could learn it, especially with being a big Outlander fan. They speak it in that, and I keep looking at it and go, oh, I wish I could learn that. So, even before that was on, because like going to the islands and stuff like that years ago, you see the signs.
Yeah. So Villa Soul, 3 kids. Even if it was 3 kids, and
it was a disaster.
I think that may be about right, but the fact is the number was much higher in England, much higher.
Which is a horrible thing.
Dying in hospital.
Yeah. Well, I think
but nobody wants to talk about that because that reflects on Boris.
Well, it was babies and young people. One of them had cancer, I believe. So that's the last thing you need when your immune system's low for a bug.
Yeah, that's the problem with hospitals, folks. They're full of sick people.
Yeah.
And you really, seriously, every time you walk into a hospital, you got to realize you are taking a bit of a risk. You're walking into an environment where people could have something contagious that you could pick up.
And you can bring in something to them. That's the thing. People coming in and then bringing an infection, but it's the hospital's fault, I mean, all our hospitals in Scotland have got the alcohol gel at the door, and it's like put the signs up saying, use alcohol gel so you're not bringing stuff in. Make sure you're not coming in when you've got infections, colds and flus. Don't bring it into the hospital. It's like, it's trying to educate people not to bring things in, and also to cleaning your hands when you're leaving the hospital, so you're not taking. Here's Travis. You're late to the party, Travis.
Yeah.
You're a
We're
day
wrapping
late and
up.
$1 short.
Yeah. We're
But I
just
would say
wrapping up.
a lot of you folks from across the pond are very jealous of our NHS and the fact that we don't have to pay for the medical treatment when we need it. I mean, we do pay a proportion through national insurance. It's like a little thing that we
Right.
pay for wages and stuff like that, and it goes towards a big pot for pensions and all that sort of thing.
Good. That's
But it's not like an insurance as such, but it's called a national insurance. But,
right.
and it's a proportion of what your earnings are. So, it's quite good that way.
Right. Yeah. Obviously they've figured out how to fund it, and that's good. I think it's good. I think it's great that people in Scotland can just go to the doctor and they don't have to worry about how they're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
They don't have to worry about how they're going to pay for the prescriptions, and they can go get well. I mean, that's a huge boon for a society where you can keep your population well. So I mean, it just makes sense. So this is what the SNP is doing for Scotland. It's hard for me to naysay the SNP because they're actually, because by most of what I can see, they are doing right by the people.
Give you a pen.
I honestly don't feel that they're really doing very much right by the English people.
No.
I feel like, yeah, we'll say that they got their mandate and everything, but getting to that mandate even was a ugly process. I mean, hasn't it been the last 3 years? Been a pretty ugly process, hasn't it? I mean,
exactly.
It's like there's nothing pretty here. So I have serious issues with the way that Westminster is carrying on, because I just don't think they care about anything other than themselves and fattening their own pockets as politicians. I mean, that's really, it seems like all they care about. And it comes off day after day.
Yeah. And Linda was saying about caring for the elderly people as well. I mean, in Scotland, there's free care for the elderly as well, which is a great thing, because a lot of people would work all their life by their house, and then obviously when they get older, they would have to sell their house, and maybe one partner would be, well, what do? They have to sell the house to care for the other person, so having that burden taken away is a fantastic thing for the older people as well.
Right.
So I mean, it's great. They're definitely a lot of great things. They're very much people focused. But one thing I'll always say, I really wish that the people in the rest of the UK would be standing up and asking for what Scotland's getting, rather than being resentful of Scotland for getting what our government do.
Right.
Their government should be doing it as well. They should be looking for the people, and they should be saying, well, why are you not accountable?
Yeah.
Why are you not caring for the people? Why are you not, I mean, it's like, if we can do it, why can they not do it?
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. And we're going to continue to monitor this, but it's a sticky situation. I mean, I came into this obviously saying I didn't want the Scots cutting off their nose to spite their face. I think it's reached the point that if they don't move, Westminster is going to cut off their nose to spite their face.
I said that to you. You said that we need to wait, and I was like, waiting is the worst thing, because it's the longer we wait, the more they're giving them time to strip us away of everything.
As much as I appreciate that, I also think,
it's a concern.
The problem is the support going to be there right now?
Exactly.
The whole reason I say wait is because I'm like looking at what's happening on the ground.
Yes.
And on the ground, it's still locked up around 50-50. So it's like, you push it now. If it comes back no, well, earlier in the video, I told you where I stand. If it comes back no again, I'm not likely to side with, the referendum people for a while. As much as I would like to see Scotland independent, I will, because I respect the democratic process, I will have to be a naysayer after that. So that's why
timing's important.
That's the only reason I say that. But I get it. Why? I mean, it sucks. This is a crunch right now, Scotland, to figure this out, and it's a crunch. And hopefully people have been educating themselves for the last year or two, or maybe hopefully there's just been a lot more people educating themselves since 2014. But what's going on here right now is the Scots really need to be paying attention, because for me, it's all about the Scots choosing what's best for them.
Yeah.
So if you feel being in the UK is best for you, which I feel is extremely risky, then that's fine. And if you vote that way, I'll respect it. And I will talk about the democratic process being respected and having spoken and all that sort of stuff. Just like I say about Boris and his mandate, just like I say about the mandate given to the SNP in the recent election, I respect the democratic process.
Yeah,
so, you know, that's where I stand on that. And I'm just concerned because that crunch that's happening right now is scary, because the support isn't quite there yet, but yet some big things are happening that are really scary that the Scots really need to be paying attention to. So it's, you know, it's a sticky situation.
It really is. And I mean, they've talked about the fact that a lot of people say, you know, we're expecting it to be sunshine and roses and rainbows and all that sort of thing, and that it could take 10 years or more to start feeling the benefit of an independent Scotland.
Right.
But they're talking about the fact that it's going to take 50 years for us to feel the benefit of Brexit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll be dead, right?
Right.
But at least if I've got Scottish independence, I can look at all my nieces and nephews and go, 10 years is nothing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
10 years,
Well,
even if it
10 years
takes
is
25 years, do you know what I mean? They're at that age where they're going to be wanting to buy a house and supporting their own families for that time, you know, and it's like, whereas it's just a dead weight. The UK is just a dead weight. And they're sucking everything out of Scotland, like the rest of the colonies that they've
I don't
done.
think Scotland needs to be reliant on the purse strings of Westminster.
I think people need faith in themselves.
You are in control of a third of the national resources in the UK. You are in control of that. I mean, that alone is going to help you to dictate terms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That alone, because you're providing power. You're providing the fresh water that everybody has to drink. I mean, all these things, the fishing. Oh, that's another thing you guys need to protect from Westminster right now, because Westminster is trying to screw you on your fishing industry too.
They've already sold off fishing rights that even when we leave the EU, I think we won't even have back. It's like sold separately.
Oh, wow.
I can't remember what there's legislation, things like this was a good number of years ago. So even when we leave the EU, people are thinking, well, a lot of the fisher people, the fishermen and the fisher people, oh god, thought that leaving the EU was going to mean that they were going to get their fishing rights and all that back, and believed everything the Tories said, and a lot of them have, you know, turned tail and thought, oh crikey, what have we, you know, done? So
Westminster's not your friend, Scotland. I gotta tell you.
I can't believe I said fisher people. Oh dear.
Well, you know, maybe it's because it's getting to be 2.5 hours.
Yes, I know. Better without a toilet break.
So, all right, folks, that has been our coverage today of the Inverness Independence March. It's been a lot of fun. It was really cool to see all that footage and to have our little chat here about some of the issues at hand at present. So we will continue to follow it here. We're going to continue to get in, you know, yes voters' opinions, no voters' opinions. And I do realize there is a distinction between no voters and unionists.
Yes, absolutely.
There are some people voting no that aren't necessarily unionists. I know there's all these distinctions to be made. I am making these distinctions. I'm recognizing these distinctions.
Yes.
And so we're going to be trying to get all of these voices on, and so everybody can be heard, and that's the whole idea here. So
just like there's probably some people that voted yes during the 2014 referendum that actually wanted out of the EU, you know, so it can't be assumed. Nothing can be assumed, you know.
Yep. No,
but so are you saying you would welcome some no voters to leave comments in the comment section to say you know, if they're reasonably minded people that want to have a dialogue with you.
If you are a no voter or a unionist and you're watching this and
Respectfully
and
coming
you're-
on though.
and you have a bone to pick with some of what I'm saying or whatever, you let me know. You can send me an email at erekosemam@gmail.com. You send me an email, let me know.
And you'll read it next year.
Put in the title or whatever, just put something like IndyRef2, union or no or yes, whatever. Send me if you are interested in coming on talking with Sharon and I and talking about these issues reasonably. Let me know.
And not swearing the house down. Right. Sorry, yeah, Erekose on
EREKOSEMAM@gmail.com. Send me an email there and let me know. We
should put that in the description as well. Put that in the video description and then it.
Right.
In case some of us Scots can't understand you Yanks.
Travis came into.
What? What? No.
He's being a punk over there. He's back to
being a punk ass.
he's like that pendulum swinging.
Yeah.
No, yes, no, yes. So, all right, folks. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Probably later today. We might be talking with a few gentlemen today, so keep your eyes out on this channel today. I got something I got to do for a couple hours, but in a couple hours, look for something else here. And then later on tonight as well. Well, for you in Scotland, it'll be the middle of the night. But anyways, keep your eyes on the channel if you want. And we might have some more content today with some people that were there on the ground. So interesting stuff. So like I said, if you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and we'll see you.